Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing okay. I talked last week about potentially spending some time this summer in a hobonichi cousin avec, and I am. I don't want to spend a long time justifying the decision. I talked about my thoughts last week. What I have come to the conclusion with this week, and to be clear, or to clarify, I guess, my kind of thinking is like this week I wasn't sure I was even gonna make a video. I thought I would maybe take an extra week to think about it some more, but I think I'm ready to talk about it, to be honest. I'm not sure what I'm gonna call this. It's not a File of Facts info dump, it's not an Attic Archives episode. I just want to talk about revisiting the hobonichi cousin for the summer. I don't want to call it a hobonichi info dump. So I'm not sure what this is. I just want to talk about it, to be honest, and I don't want to have to spend a long time justifying my decision. I spoke last week about how much I struggle in the summer, and for those of you that have been around for the last 2 summers, but for last summer especially, you know how much I struggle. I spiral in the summer, and I think that's all I really need to say about it. I kind of get, you know how people get seasonal affective disorder, they get sad in the winter. I feel like I get it in the summer. I kind of fall apart a bit. I find it really hard to focus. My sleep issues get a lot worse because it's hot. It becomes like a whole thing. I am always having the worst time in the summer. And this year it's getting warm already. And for an update from last week is that I did actually get some aircon, like a weird window unit with a giant hose. It sucks, but it works. I hate it. I'm really mad that I spent money on it because I hate it because it's ugly and big and it doesn't really fit in my space. But it does work. So 1 point to the ugly aircon, I guess. So because I struggle in the summer and because I recognize this pattern in myself and because I recognize the pattern of myself looking for other problems to solve, looking for creative problems to solve when I'm struggling, I'm always seeking out the distraction. And I'm not really keen to take that coping mechanism away from myself, if you know what I mean. Like the summer is a time that I struggle and there's nothing I can really do about it. I cannot make the sun fall out of the sky, and apart from buying aircon, I cannot drop the temperature in my room. I cannot make it more bearable for myself. I cannot reduce the brightness on the planet. So knowing that and knowing that I often seek different notebook systems when I'm struggling and when I crave distraction and I guess comfort, I don't want to stop myself from doing that. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to not let myself have that space if I need it, basically. I love my File of Facts very much and it works 100%. I'm actually still maintaining it. I didn't think to bring it over to the desk, it's on the sofa across the room, but I'm still maintaining it in the background. And the nice thing about my File of Facts system is that because I make all the stuff myself and because it's so easy to maintain by design, if I do need to backfill it at any point, it wouldn't take that long. It would be a relatively easy feat. I'm not too worried. It's almost a very like self-sufficient system, so it's not too much of a stress. But I think if I need the distraction of a different system, of revisiting something in a different shape and size for the length of the summer, then I'm just going to let myself do it, basically. And I know I said I wasn't going to spend a lot of time justifying it, but that's the reasoning, and that's the conclusion I've come to, is that I don't want to justify it. I don't want to talk at length about it, really. I just want to say that I'm just giving myself grace this summer because the summer is hard for me. I have a lot of sleep issues, I have some really scary appointments coming up, and I have autism, so it's just, in the summer there's a lot going on, and this year especially, I've got a 3rd wedding to go to in the summer that I'm a little stressed about behind the scenes, just because it's a social event. Like there's just a lot going on, and there will be a lot going on, and on top of that, it is like my guaranteed worst time of the year. So I'm just giving myself the grace. That's it. That's the preface. I want to talk about what I'm doing in here. And that's kind of it. I just want to show you. The first thing, I got my nails done on Wednesday like I normally do. And I don't know if I like them. They're a bit shorter than normal and it's kind of freaking me out. It gives me like almost a dysphoric feeling about my hands. Like when my nails aren't quite right, I don't recognize my hands. So it's not relevant to anything, I just keep thinking about it when I look at my hands. And because my hands are a big part of my like work now, I guess, making videos and taking photos and everything, I'm just like, it's weird. I picked up this cover from the Journal Shop, which is a UK-based stationery shop, I guess, online. They have a little shop too in Shoreditch, pretty sure. And I picked this up because I was trying to get, someone told me about the bog coloured Stalogy dots, and I was like, okay, sold. So I was picking these up for my bog pages, because this is a bog colour. Like, I mean, it's good, it's very good. You know how much I love the Stalogy dots. You know, I've always got pages and pages of them rolling around everywhere in the background, stuffed into all my books. When I found out about the green ones, which I hadn't seen before and that I hadn't seen stocked before, I wanted them. I'm going to use them to tag my blog pages and stuff like that, so cool. So I was shopping for these specifically, and then they had a sale section, and because I was only buying index dots, I was like, it doesn't hurt to see if any of my other usual supplies are on sale, I guess. I didn't find those, but what I did see was that they had this cover, and I can't remember the name of it, so you'll have to forgive me, but I'll link it in the description. This is the A5 Hobonichi, one of the A5 Hobonichi covers from 2024. And I don't actually own an A5 cover by Hobonichi. I always have my books blank, or I have them with the Midori cover on. I never have a cover. And I talked about wanting this one potentially, I think before Christmas last year. And when I saw that they had it and it was on sale, I was like, well, it might be jumping the gun a little bit. It might be a bit too fast of me, but I saved like £20 on it, 20 quid. And I thought that was quite substantial given that it's one of the more expensive covers because it's handmade and it's like woven. It's really cool. It actually only arrived this morning. And it's really soft, which I didn't expect. I mean, it makes sense, but I'm like taken aback by how soft it is. It's almost spongy feeling. It's so nice. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Was this just arrived and I just put it on, and I'm like slightly obsessed with it, texturally speaking. Autism wise, it's really like ticking a box for me. It's so satisfying. It's kind of stimmy, and I like the colors because they're bright but they're almost muted. These are obviously a bit brighter, but here it's just kind of soft looking. It's so nice. Everything about it is soft. So that's the first thing, is that I'm a really big fan of what is going on with this cover. I'm really glad I picked it up. I don't regret it. And if I do end up spending the year in 2 systems, first of all, I think that's a big improvement on last year still, so I'm not worried about it. But if I do end up spending the year in 2 systems, then this is a nice cover to take with me for the journey, so I'm happy about that. I don't know if maybe I will trim these off. Sometimes I do. It's a bit controversial, but I don't really need them. I don't tend to use them, and they can get kind of frayed if they're kicking around all year, so I'm not sure. It's also just, I don't love that these are so bright, but I think if it was just one or the other, I could cope. So maybe, or I could just tuck them away, which would probably be better. But moving on to the inside of my book, how to lay this out. I still have that thing at the moment where my desk feels smaller than normal, and I can't work out what I did to mess up the ecosystem. Nothing just seems to fit where it's meant to at the moment. What I did was I got another Midori cover. For my cousin last year, I had the full-size book and I used the Midori Codex cover and it fit perfectly. I know a lot of people can squeeze this one onto this book, but I have no idea how. I think there's a lot of variation in the sizes when you buy it. This is the Codex cover and this is the normal A5 cover by Midori. So I got the normal one this year. I folded some black... It's in my way. I folded some black craft paper around the front because that neon yellow makes me feel a certain way. So I folded some black craft paper around the back and the front of the book, and it's not glued, it's just folded, and then I slipped the cover on. It's picking up a lot of dust and stuff already, which is what the Midori covers tend to do. They just get full of stuff and you have to kind of try and clean them out. I think there's glue on here, yeah. But that's what the cover is for, so it's not too much of an issue, and I guess now it'll be slightly better off with the other cover. But my calendar at the moment, just jumping straight in, my calendar at the moment is pretty empty. I haven't started using it yet. I'm not too worried. This month, thankfully, is a slightly quieter month for me, so I will catch that up towards the end and decorate it the way that I normally would for any of my calendars. I'm going to use it the exact same way. Just appointments, small notes, and a little bit of stickers. But the weekly pages, I actually only just set this up this morning, which is part of what prompted me to actually make a video this week. As I said, I wasn't sure if I wanted more time to maybe think things through and decide where I'm at with it. But I worked this out this morning. And then I was kind of like, well, I know a lot of you appreciate the routine of the videos, but also I've kind of come to my conclusions. So here we are. For my weekly pages, I'm using it as a sleep log. I spoke last week about my nerves and the kind of fear I have around my upcoming sleep appointments. I've been having sleep issues for a very, very long time, and I've not really had them looked at professionally for a very long time. I have migraines too, so when I was a kid, the focus was always on the migraines, and they considered the sleep stuff to be a side effect of the migraines. And then my doctor and some other people spoke to me, this time last year actually, and said, what if it's the wrong way around? Like, what if it's the sleep issues causing the migraines? And it kind of flipped my world on its head. So anyway, I have some scary appointments coming up. So I've been collecting my sleep data for a few months. I can probably backfill this for most of the year actually, because I have that data in my Filofax. And I also have it in the notes app on my phone as an additional backup. What I'm doing though is just talking about my waking, and then a bit about my day, and then about my evening and when I go to sleep. These lines, the joined up ones, are my naps. And then I got my wake up times, my getting into bed times, my sleep times are normally all the way down here around 4 in the morning. It's not super interesting. I'm cataloguing things like sleep paralysis, if my sleep is fragmented, which to be honest it always is, if I have particularly vivid dreams, if I have like, if you have sleep issues, you can get like hypnagogic hallucinations before bed and stuff. Like, it's when you see spiders all over the walls and stuff like that, which is not cute and not something I really want to talk about. But basically I'm just collecting that kind of information, collecting info on my naps as well, and how many I take. And then down here I'm collecting caffeine, so coffee and tea, and then SP stands for sleep paralysis, and then vivid dreams. And then I've color coded them, so at a glance I can see how many of each I have. So the black one is for sleep paralysis, 2 this week. I'm in the horrors. The grey one is for naps, and then blue is for like when I know I'm dreaming and I'm kind of stuck in the dreaming. That's those incidents. I get that daily at the moment, so that's fun. What I'm also doing is collecting some little sleep related pictures. I have more over here actually, I printed them out this morning. Some little scraps of paper. It just makes me feel a bit better about it all if I have something nice to look at the same time. If I can almost not romanticize it really, but like it's almost like commonplacing around the topic. It's comforting and kind of reassuring, especially as someone who potentially developed an entire way of spooky and gloomy existence around undiagnosed sleep issues. It just feels like it makes sense for me. So that's kind of the thinking, is that each week I'll have like some little pictures and stuff and some quotes. I have one that's like a Franz Kafka one when he's like not sleeping, and it's quite relatable, so maybe that'll go next week, but just some bits and bobs basically. That's the sleep stuff. Probably won't show too much of that in the future just because it's quite personal, but that's the general setup. Over here what I'll do is collect this data total at the end of the week, so counting how many episodes of sleep paralysis, that kind of thing, so that when I go to the doctor and I go to the sleep clinic, I can show them the numbers, I guess. Moving on to my daily pages, I've been backfilling. Why do I have bog pages in here? Okay. I'm still preoccupied by bogs in case you can't tell. In here I've been backfilling lightly. This is as far as I've gotten to, is the end of March, just sticking in some photos from my camera roll and from my Filofax, using that very heavily as a reference. Just some little bits from the last sort of few weeks. I stuck in my pages from when I visited the bog. I haven't done Canada just yet because in a lot of ways I feel like I'm still recovering from traveling to Canada. It was a lot, especially right on the back of going up north. I went away very quickly twice, and then I came back and I was wrecked, and also jet lag really messed me up, and then I got ill, so I feel like I'm still recovering from it all in a lot of ways. So I haven't actually printed out my Canada pages just yet, just because I would like a bit more time before I tackle that again, but got the bog stuff down. I actually had to film this video a second time. I did it yesterday and I got too excited talking about bogs, and then the rest of the video I just had like a really manic tinge to me. So I'm filming it again today, hoping I can keep it more leveled. I don't get me wrong, I'm not embarrassed about being excited or a little bit manic about my special interests. They mean a lot to me, but it's not always the vibe I want to bring into a video. So did reprint out my book stuff, referenced my Filofax really heavily for these pages, and I will copy out the notes as well. I just haven't done it yet. I've been using these pink dots recently as outings, like that's the topic, but that's what I ordered my bog stalogy dots for, so I'm gonna use that green one and it's gonna be so nice. I will change those over. The nice thing about these stalogy dots is that they're made of masking tape, so they're really easy to peel back up. Especially with some like sticker tweezers, super easy. You can change them anytime. It's fantastic because when I change my indexing system partway through the year, it has my back. So we got some bog bits, very chill, very chill bog bits. And then I've got one from a graveyard walk we did recently. Is there anything else? No. In the graveyards in the town centre here, they don't really cut the grass in May. They do no mow May, which is when they don't mow the grass, and they let all the wildflowers grow really tall, and it's really beautiful, and they got the tombs all tucked in, and it's fantastic. It speaks to me. I've got another walk here. We went down to some local wetlands. They're not particularly exciting, but I did show them in the attic archives the other week. That's that walk. Really pretty stuff. And then my nails, which I really liked last month. My Filofax full binder, some headphones. I finally got some new headphones. And then we're on Filofax covers, and then this is the start of this month, so I've been adding some extra bits on top so that I can talk about my intentions for the book and sort of think on the paper about why I might be moving around again. Only into one book though. So here, this is my daily writing at the bottom, and this is a good time, I guess, to explain that I'm using these pages exactly the same way that I did last year. So you might remember that in, let's find a nice one, perfect. Last year I was using it, so I draw this line partway through the page, and underneath there is my daily notes generally. This is not a good example actually. This is a good example. So under here is my daily notes. Often I put the date again, I repeat it just so that I know for sure. This is my little daily journaly bits, kind of like reflecting on my day and talking about what's been going on and how I'm feeling, what I did, that kind of thing. And then the top half of the page is for like commonplacing, or other stuff. So I collect a lot of different things on these pages. Nice. And I'm using it the same way this year, basically. It's the same thing. So the top half is kind of like irrelevant to the date, and then the bottom half is the dated part. The top half I use freely throughout the month, and then I just come back and add my daily notes every day. Exact same thing is happening at the moment. So these are my daily notes from these days. I backfilled them from the Filofax. And then at the top, I'm adding commonplace stuff, literally. So I'm just going to be writing about my intentions. And then this photo is from the day. And then here, I was brain draining. We're back on the brain drain for purple dots. A walk, so that's my daily note from the walk. And then up here is some, how do you call it? Some different commonplacing, basically some brain drain. Unrelated, that's what I'm looking for. So here is where I kind of picked it up properly. This is when I got the book. So I redid my Dead Boy Detective notes for my Filofax. I have the picture of my Filofax and my hobonichi cousin that I took for the thumbnail last week. Just talking about my process, basically, my thought process, and about making the video and thinking about it a lot. I have the Sandman because after Dead Boy Detectives I rewatched that, so I put that down and it's nice. Brain draining, daily notes. So down here I was talking about a really specific episode of sleep paralysis, and I put my little sleepy gloomy guy. However, every time I turned the page I kept thinking about that episode of sleep paralysis, and it was kind of a gnarly one. It was kind of stressing me out, so I covered it with the little picture of the dog cover after I ordered it. I didn't order it on this day, I only ordered it a couple of days ago, but I just popped that over the top because it fits well. So a little guy there. Here I was starting to think about how I could carry across my way of working from the Filofax to the hobonichi cousin. And first what I did was copy an article onto A6 pages in the Pages app, and I added my highlighting like normal, but when it came to printing it was not the most practical, because even when you print it very small you still have like 10 or 12 of them, and it's just not ideal because of the way it fits on the page. So I stuck this here even though I don't like it, and it's not practical, just to show my working, I guess, my thinking for future Megan. It's just the first page of the article that fit in the Pages app. And then underneath I tried a screenshot of the article instead, and I just wrote down the highlights, or the bits that I highlighted, and I think it's okay, but again, I don't really love it. I started doing this thing partway through the week where I stick a big photo, or I stick a photo on the side, and then I tape it into the hinge of the book. And I think that's better, so maybe in future what I might do is stick these article screenshots on the edge like that. I just kind of like it. Obviously the big perk of using the Avec this time around is that I don't have to worry at all about the bulking. I can stick and stick and stick to my heart's content, and I never have to sacrifice anything. Which honestly is a very cool feeling, and is obviously why I chose the Avec this time around. My cousin last year didn't bulk up too much, but it did get fluffy enough, you know, and it's only 4 or so months. If it had had the rest, it would have been super fluffy, which I know a lot of people like, but eventually it does get a little tricky to write in it and to keep sticking things in and to open it wide, especially when you're still using those weekly pages at the front. It becomes hard work, so I'm happy to have chosen the Avec this time around. So I'm not sure how I felt about that. I ended up sticking this over the top to kind of cover it slightly because I wasn't sure. Added some stickers of my own. This is a screen cap from True Detective, but it's spooky. That's kind of like a ghosty, ectoplasmy kind of Victorian photograph thing going on back here, and I thought it matched the topic of the article well, so I put that there. It's not actually related, I just think vibe-wise, aesthetic-wise it's related. And then index the same thing, so I'm still using grey for commonplace. Next page, I have some, oh, this is the highlights continued, so it's quite a bit, some daily notes down here. My little stickers. Here I got some clogs for the summer, for the spring. I thought it was spring, but it's summer now. I just really wanted them last year and I never got them, and then this year I was like, to be honest, it would be nice. Daily notes down here, and then talking about something else up here, I think. Haven't tagged it, so I'll have to go back and fix that. And then here is the solution that I eventually came up with for my commonplace pages. So this is an article called Bringing the Horror Home by Dale Bailey for Nightmare Magazine. They run a series, or they have a section of essays on the website called The H Word. The H word is obviously horror. And then each article or essay that contributes to the section is a different interpretation of something to do with horror. So this one is called Bringing the Horror Home, and it's about the haunted house, like archetype-wise, cliche-wise, just thematically. It's just very cool. I'll link that website section in the description for you because it's worth checking out. So this is not too long of an article. It's about 4 pages. What I did in the end was format it for my Filofax exactly the same as I always would. The only thing I did was add the title at the top. And then I printed it out like I would for my Filofax, and then I just cut the columns out. And this is nice for 2 reasons. Firstly, because these columns fit perfectly on these pages and it's fantastic. It's a much better use of space than those little A6 pages were. Secondly, because it means that if I do go back to my Filofax in the winter or something, or in a few weeks' time or a few months' time or sometime next year, whenever, if I go back to my Filofax, or when I inevitably return to the comfort of my Filofax, it means that these pages are already formatted and waiting to be printed out for that archive, which is nice. It's kind of a relief to know that I can seamlessly kind of go between the two, and I'm trying to make sure that I keep in mind both books when I do things in here and in there, I guess, so that I can kind of give myself the space to do that if I want to. I think spending the year in 2 books is fine. It's obviously a big upgrade from last year, for me on a personal level at least, and it's fine to navigate 2 books, 2 systems. So I do wonder if part of the reason I crave this in the summer, because it was also this time last year, I think, that I was in a cousin, and I think because I do struggle in the summer, it's that thing of wanting everything in one place again. It's like a security blanket in the summer when I feel a bit spiraled and unhinged and detached from everything, a bit outside of myself, I guess. I kind of crave having that one big book where like everything is always there at the same time. Obviously, the more Filofax pages that I accumulate, and at this point there is quite a lot of them, it becomes a bit overwhelming to consider them all, and I can't carry them all together. It's strange. And then when I start craving wanting everything together, it's hard to pull things in and out of different archives and then to know which, like, how I want to archive them, I guess, and then which parts to separate out and which parts to keep chronological, that kind of thing. At least here, for the time being, I can see the articles I'm reading on the days and the times of the month that I'm reading them, and then my personal notes, my daily notes, are still down here as well, and it's kind of nice to see that overlap. Obviously now in my file of facts I have all those blog pages, but I can't quite remember when exactly I was pulling them together. And that's kind of sad, I guess. I'm finding that kind of sad at the moment. Future Megan might feel differently, but I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the pages, I guess. So anyway, that's the article. It's working really well. I stuck the top half down and then I can still write in my daily gaps, which I have done on this page. It also means I can stick things on this side still. What I've tried to do is space things nicely so I can add extra bits in. So this one is from Pinterest. I can link it in the description. Under here I've got some daily notes, and then what I did was I had this page with nothing next to it, and I left a space for myself knowing this was a Wednesday and I would get my nails done, and I bought some books. So I left that space. I counted out the squares for it and I left it so I could add a photo. So it's just that kind of thing. Even though now I have less control in a lot of ways, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm bearing in mind which days I might have more going on than others. Obviously on a Thursday I never have much going on. I was just working, so I didn't need to leave that gap in the same way, but I tried to be careful for my Wednesdays. Apart from that, so I've got the photo, my daily bit underneath, I've got the article on top, and then I've got a graveyard, and then I've got a little ghost stories book like taped on the hinge, which again is nice. It's nice not to lose that layering effect I get in my file of facts. And again, it's nice not to have to worry because I'm in the work. So this is the end of the article. Some daily notes down here from yesterday, and then today I've got some little bulk bits, a brain drain from last night, and then today I can fill my gaps in. And that's it really so far. I just wanted to talk to you about it. Obviously this one ends at the end of June. I have the other half on my desk somewhere under all my paper. What I might try and do is backfill maybe like as much as possible, just because I like that. It's that completionist aspect in me, kind of like it. It would be good to know how bulky it might get. This one is already quite fluffy, I'm not gonna lie. When you first get them, they're really compact, and then it's amazing how quickly they start to feel fluffy and crinkly, which is kind of the feeling, the texture I was missing, so I'm happy for it. The other thing to talk about this week maybe is that I spent most of the week working on some new sticker sheets. Today is Friday and it's Friday afternoon. I really want to tell you that they're ready by the time you're watching this, and that will be my aim. They are like almost done, so there's really no reason for them not to be. They're really cute. They're summer themed. I will show them on screen for you. It's kind of cool. As someone who does not like summer, I find it hard to pin down aesthetically, but I made these kind of in collaboration with my patrons. They gave me a lot of ideas. We talked about a lot of different feelings, and then I pulled them together, and I quite like them. I think they pulled together well, basically. So if you're interested, you can check them out. They'll be in the shop digitally. I will order the physical copies, but they'll take a couple of weeks. They always do. And if you're on Patreon, they will be there for you in the freebies tag. So just so you know, just a little self promo there. That's what I spent the week working on, so it feels fair to talk about it. Okay, that's it really. I just wanted to talk— oh, the pen, hang on. The other thing, so last week I talked about using the Sarasa Dry pen. Zebra Sarasa Dry 0.5, which writes more like a 0.7, which was nice for me because I have always been a 0.7 girly. I like a thicker pen. This, however, ghosts aggressively. Obviously, it just depends how hard you write, how much you care about ghosting, that kind of thing. Your mileage may vary, disclaimer. But it was ghosting a lot. See if I can find it. So you can see it all here. You can see it a lot in the titles. You also get tiny dots where it bleeds. Just little dots, nothing major, but it is showing a lot. And sometimes that bothers me. I feel like it makes the pages look kind of dirty almost. Not in a literal way, but in like a distracting way. It's too busy, I guess. I tried it for a good few days and I was sure I would probably get over it. And I think I still could. But it does kind of annoy me. So some months ago when I was doing all of my pen tests, I had actually picked up this Uniball 1 pen. This is the really mini version. It's so small. It is not a normal size pen. It is quite awkward to hold if you're writing for a long time, but I've been using it since yesterday because I thought I would try it out, and it's actually getting easier, so that's kind of nice. I will show you. It doesn't look that different. It's a 0.5 again, but it's one of those ones that I think writes a bit thicker, the same way the Zebra Sarasa dry one does. They both write a bit thicker than true 0.5. Very true 0.5 is so narrow, I really can't cope with it. I find it hard to control my writing with such a sharp nib, and it's quite scratchy. I just don't like the feedback. But I started writing with this one yesterday, and it did take a hot minute to adjust to. My writing was a bit scrawly, but I think I've cracked it now because this is when I started, and it looks okay. And then I used it for this, and then I was backfilling some notes somewhere. I think all of this and these two. This one is the old pen, and then these two are the new pen, I think. And then obviously my weekly pages from today are with this new one. It's just that little bit narrower, so I can fill in some smaller gaps, which is nice. This one is a bit blobby in some cases when you write really small, which is what I normally like, but with that little bit of bleeding, it's annoying. So that's the only other true update, is that I've switched to using the Uniball 1, which is a fan favourite. People like this, and I can see why now. So there we go. That's it. That's the update. I just wanted to come and talk to you about it. It's nice to have everything in one place for the summer. It's nice to give myself the space to have that, I guess, and to give myself some grace about it all. I feel really good about being consistent for almost 6 months in the Filofax, and I'm not going to beat myself up about wanting something different for the summer. I'm just not going to do it. I don't feel bad about it. I think it's easy to think, oh, it would be better to just stick it out, to just struggle through and to stay in the Filofax for the consistency. And part of me really thought about it, but it's that thing again of like, when you already have a lot going on, like, is it worth denying yourself the comfort or the coping mechanism, I guess? Like, it's the pro and the con in it, the weighing up. And I feel good about my decision. This feels like the right choice for the summer. And as I say, if I need to, I can backfill it all in my Filofax quite easily, especially because of the formatting I'm using. It wouldn't be that much work. So that's the update. I'm going to be working in here for a while. It'll be nice, I think. It's nice to have that big pages back again. And the Avec is a little more carryable. It's a little less worrying than a huge book, but you still get that big book feeling. A lot of you recommended last week trying the A5 Day Free, but I really like the formatting of the Cousin. I like having the pages, the dates. The way that I use this book and the way that I wanted to use it again is obviously by splitting it and using the dates. And then you can use it for indexing as well. So I didn't really want to try the Day Free and have the big blank page. I think that's too intimidating for me. That's not kind of, I think part of what I like about the Cousin is the restriction in some ways. You have like a really set parameter to work within, and I think I kind of like that. I think I struggle with a blank book. I like having sort of a structure to work in. That's why I've always given myself margins. So this is what I wanted. But I do see where you guys were coming from with the thinking behind the Day Free. It did make a lot of sense. I just maybe didn't explain as well as I could have last week what I was missing about the Cousin. And then obviously this time around, those sleep pages feel important to me, so I kind of wanted this space as well. So there we go, that is the update. It's going well and I'm having fun, and I'm just going to let myself have the fun for the summer. Moment of silence for everyone else struggling with the summer too. I know a lot of you feel similarly, and I'm so sorry for all of us. Can recommend getting some awful aircon because it does work, unfortunately. There we go, my little fluffy summer book. I guess that's what I'm calling it. I really love how soft this is. If you're interested in it, it is like £20 off on the journal shop. So just something for you to bear in mind, I guess. It's quite a big saving. Couldn't believe it when I saw it, I double took. But there we go. Hope you enjoyed. I know it's a bit of an out there, I guess. Not really, I gave you the preface last week, but you know, there we go. Having a little change just for a bit. We'll see how I get on. Hope you enjoyed it, hope it was interesting. I'm happy for those of you who are excited to see me back in the Cousin or back in Hobonichi. I know some of you were saying last week that you've really missed seeing it. So there you go, a little win for you. Okay, next week hopefully Attic Archives, but not 100% sure. The summer sucks, so we'll see how we go. But I will see you next week for something regardless.